Hello, my name is Trudy Croson, and I'm here today with Corvis Croson. And our topic today is edible forest. Corvis, can you tell me a little bit about what an edible forest is?
Yeah. Edible forest is an ecosystem that can sustain itself but is edible. Basically, it takes the ideas of an actual forest and mimics it.
It takes the form of a forest but mimics it. So,
Yes.
can you go out into your regular forest and just partake in it, or are you talking about something different?
It You take the principles of a forest, look at it like this. You have several layers of it. You have the bottom layer, which is just the bare dirt, and then you have a layer above that, which is all the leaves and the cover that the trees provide. The trees provide the food for the next year because that slowly decomposes down into dirt over time. And then you have the bushes over that, and then you have the large canopy trees. And there's a whole bunch of other layers to it.
What would be your first step in planning an edible garden?
Finding a space.
What size space would an average person need? Is this something you can do in the city?
Yeah, it is. I would think that you could do it in a small space. You could do dwarf fruit trees. You could just cover the ground in mulch. You could add a blueberry underneath that dwarf fruit tree. You could add strawberries underneath that blueberry. You could add a grapevine that grows up that dwarf fruit tree. Boom, you have so many plants right there that can all support each other. You can grow beans around the base of it to give it nitrogen as it slowly breaks down. And it's really just the idea of cramming as much of everything together as possible, like nature can do it.
What about sunlight requirements? What do you have to consider for that?
Sunlight requirements, you can do a little bit of the planning, like when you're establishing things, like you would, let's say you have there's things called guilds, and it's a collection of plants that are set up in a way that are beneficial to each other. Well, for sunlight, let's say you have an apple tree in the center. Okay, that's getting the most sunlight. And then let's say you have something that a bigger bush near up to the apple tree. Okay, it's still getting sunlight, but if you put a big bush in front of the apple tree with strawberry plant in the middle of it, it's gonna get no sunlight. It's completely cascading out. But if you put them and set them up in an order of tallest to smallest in a descending order, then you can meet most of the sunlight requirements.
What would you need to do for soil preparation?
Soil preparation, I would think making sure that there is a thick cover of mulch like how nature does it, because that's what's going to be perpetually rotting down and breaking down into carbon and other micronutrients for the plants and the fungi to eat. And also making sure that there's a strong fungal connection in the soil, because there's these things called mycorrhizal fungi, which are like amanita. Those are ones. Amanita muscaria, the big mushroom you find in Alice in Wonderland, the one with the little white and red dots. That is a mycorrhizal fungi that basically takes the nutrients that the plants can't gather up and makes it in a form that is able for the plants to uptake nutrients. It also helps with the absorption of water into the plant's roots. Now, different species of funguses or fungi have different host plants because it is a symbiotic relationship. Amanitas, they like pine, conifers, such as that. And, truffles, they like conifers, they like oaks. So there's a whole bunch of them.
When you get this your edible garden planted, how often should you water it? Does each plant have a different requirement, or do you just water daily, or do you just wait on rain?
I'd say if you see it struggling and there ain't no rain, water it. But if you're concerned about it, then just water it.
What kind of plants do you suggest using for an edible forest?
Well, I would think you could use everything. Preferably stuff that would be native to your region, like let's say some native wildflowers to act as an attractor or as a pollinator attractor. But yeah, you could plant annuals such as tomatoes, use them as or put them up and trellis them along peach trees or stuff like that. Cucumbers, you could do perennials. Asparagus is one. Mustard green, that's a short-lived perennial. If you're in a hotter climate, peppers, stuff like that.
Where do you get your mulch? Do you need earthworms?
Earthworms are a big part of it. They break down the organic matter found in the mulch. So yes, earthworms are a big part of it, but there are other insects besides of earthworms that break down the organic matter also.
Do you think that everyone should try to have a edible forest instead of a lawn?
I think that everyone should try to grow their own food instead of relying on companies.
Where do you suggest you find your plants? At a local nursery? Online? Go dig them up out of the woods?
If you can identify the plant successfully and you can get the seeds from it, then get it from the woods. If you want to order a plant online, then get it from there. If you have a good local nursery that has stuff native to your region, then get it from there. It just depends on what works best for you.
Do you have any parting advice for our listeners today?
Make the soul, and the soul makes the food.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Corvis. Good luck in your gardening endeavors.